This is Rob and Matt Minton from Minton Brothers Vintage. We wanted to introduce Ed Connell today, and Ed's going to tell us the story about his one-owner 69 Strat.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate that very much. It's a story that's near to me in my heart because I've had this guitar for 56 years now, and it started back in when I was 17 years old. I'd been in a music store here in town owned by a local couple, and I started taking lessons every week with a 6-string acoustic that my mom bought me for Christmas, and I got a little tired of doing the same thing, and it didn't sound as good as I wanted, and I kept seeing this guitar on the rack every week, and the owner of the store came over to me and he said, "Yeah, you really probably would love to have that, wouldn't you?" And I said, "Well, sure." And back then it was like I was young, too young to really know the value of it. And he said, "I'll tell you what, you give me $20 down and pay $8 a week for your lesson and the guitar, and it's yours." And I couldn't believe it. So I said, "Heck yeah!" So I was.
Where do I sign?
Yeah.
How quick can we do that?
Yeah. And it just so happened that at that same time they had a new guitar teacher come in that he was a fantastic player, and he was in a band. And
what was his name?
Tom Selden.
He
was from this area and just a super guy. He ended up going to New York and doing studio work. He was that good. And I just caught on fire with my guitar every week. I couldn't wait to go and get a lesson, and I was so excited. And I paid him every week, and he was tickled to death with it. And of course, my mom thought I was crazy because I was 17 years old and bought a guitar on credit basically. But it worked out really well. So yeah, I've had it.
Did they execute any paperwork when you did that, or was that just a handshake?
I remember him writing up this little tablet. It was probably for his records, but there was no, there wasn't even a price tag on it. It ended up being $187. I still remember that, but there was no documentation on that, and that's the only thing I really, really regret. I wish I had that too.
Yeah. Did it come with anything in the case, so like an original manual or any of that kind of stuff?
No, nothing like that. No, it was a case, a couple of picks, and the accessories, the whammy bar and the ashtray, and that was it. So.
Which the whammy bar has a black tip on it.
Yeah.
Spot on almost. A 63, and we will compare it to a 69, but just kind of interesting that Fender literature would say that they didn't come out with a black tip until much later. And I've asked a few people that have seen a lot of these guitars, and they said, yeah, we've never seen one. So
yeah,
just a little interesting note, but you said it came with it.
Yeah, that's the same one that I got the day I bought the guitar.
If there was one thing I did learn from working for a manufacturer is, despite people saying Gibson never did that or Fender never did that, or there's all kinds of things that unless you were there that day, right? Like unless you were there that day, you don't know everything that they did do. So
yeah, some guy might have had one of those in a drawer and thought, let's put it on this guitar.
Well, and you said you bought the guitar when?
I bought it in 1970.
1970.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have some subsequent videos where we took it apart, and we'll show you the green stamp on the end of the neck, and the pot date codes are 34th week of 69, and then the green stamp on the end of the neck dates it to 11 of 69, so November of 69, and you said you bought it in
April 70.
Yep. So I mean, maybe it didn't leave the factory until 1970. We don't know exactly, but
I know it had been there. It may have been in the 69 because I used to walk in and drool over it. And when I go take my lesson with my little 6-string, and I kept thinking, I was a big Jimi Hendrix fan, I thought, man, I'd love to have that guitar, and he just got me at the right time. He said, "Hey, how'd you like to buy that?" And I was, 17-year-old kid with a couple bucks in my pocket. I said, "Sold, I'll take it." Yeah. I had no idea. I had no idea what I bought. Back then, I have never even taken the neck off until probably maybe 3-4 years ago
Mhm.
when I was curious about how old it was, and I've been told that the neck will have a stamp on it.
Yep.
That was the first time I even knew that I had a 69. I thought it was in that or a 70, but I wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
You've done a great job of keeping it in great condition.
Yeah,
I mean,
because when I bought that, kids my age, they traded them for a 6-pack of beer. A guitar. You just didn't have. I know guys that I've talked to that have said, "Oh yeah, I had this and that guitar when I was that age, and I've had 10 guitars since then. I wish I still had the one I bought." Well, I got lucky on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some subsequent videos we're going to put out after the story.
I can't wait to see that.
Taking the guitar apart, showing
Yeah.
you what everything looks like, in the neck cavity, the stamp, the internal inventory code. There's a green stamp, on the back of the neck heel, like, where the 4-bolt plate is in that area.
Mhm.
And then there's all the green stamp at the very butt end of the neck. And then, of course, below the pick guard, and the fact that it's got the perloid is the underneath layer. When you look at this guitar, really from the side, it really looks like white and an equal layer of black. And it looks like a real thin layer of white, but that's actually perloid.
Yeah.
Or it is white with a super thin layer of perloid on the bottom. But we're gonna, basically give you a look of this thing under the hood. I'll say that
fully original.
Yeah.
this thing is 100%, spot on, and it's so clean.
Yeah.
It's the best set of F tuners I've ever seen functionally, because those things weren't very good.
Mhm.
And certainly by now they're no good, but these tuners work and function really good. Interesting, when we took the pick guard off, you could tell that the pick guard had never been off because it still had the wood dust.
Sawdust.
Yeah, it had the sawdust around the screws, which it's not uncommon to remove covers and plates and pick guards and see a bunch of different dust and lint and different things, but for sure it was and you said that you never removed the pick guard.
No.
Yeah, so we cleaned
Actually-
the pots,
actually-
obviously while we were there.
Actually, this guitar that I can think of has been played by 2 people, me and my grandson. That's it. When I was in a band in high school, I always had my guitar case near me, and as soon as I got done playing, I put the guitar in the case, closed the case, and then when I take it home, I slid it underneath my bed. It never even stayed upright for any length of time. So I at that age, you probably wouldn't think you'd be very good at that, but I just didn't want anything to happen to it. So I was really babied it.
You took really good
Yeah,
care of it.
right.
Yeah, took really. So
So what kind of playing? I mean, were you playing out with it, or were you just recording, or what?
No recording, but back then it was all live music. No, there was no, other than records, but there was no recorded music. There were no DJs. In high school, all the clubs wanted to earn money to have dances, and there was a limited number of bands, and we were one of the better ones. And we were booked solid for Fridays and Saturday nights for probably 2.5 years. And that's the main time I played it. I haven't really played it much since then because I've got a little arthritis in my fingers and it's really hard to hang on to a pick. You gave me a great tip, which I'm going to do. And I can't wait to get back and start playing it
get you a
again.
thumb pick, and you'll have
I
to.
can't wait. I'm so excited about getting back with my guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you said you were playing dances. What kind of gigs? Like,
Well,
this was all in the 70s, I
Yeah,
assume, or-
I was a sophomore in high school in 1970 and played through my freshman year in college to 73. And for instance, I've probably played at the local YMCA, I know for a fact, at least 50 times.
Mhm.
Played at Apple Valley at their clubhouse, played a lot of proms. I got thrown out of a prom, because our group did, because we were too loud and we wouldn't turn it down. The chaperones came up and said, either turn it down or leave. And we started packing our gear up, and the crowd went nuts. The kids went nuts because it was their prom.
Because turning down was not an option.
We had half of our equipment back in the van, ready to leave, and they came back out and said, "Please come back in and set back up." Well, we came back in, set up, and finished it.
We're gonna have mutiny on our hands here if we don't have.
I was telling you earlier, I've even played in Utica, downtown, in the old theater in a battle of the bands. There was 5 groups that we played, and we had so many kids. They were outside. The cops came and made everybody get off the street and all that stuff. So back then it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
So did you guys have long hair? Did you have short hair?
My hair's been curly my whole life, and I was real bushy. It was real long. And we had a dress code in high school. You couldn't have your hair longer than your collar. It couldn't touch your collar. And we had kids that would wear wigs to hide their hair so they wouldn't be. So yeah, it was, our drummer had real long hair, and it was the Woodstock era. It was, that was it. Sex, drug, and rock and roll,
What kind of amps were you playing?
I had a big trainer with a JBL box. It was probably as tall as I was, and it was you could probably hear it from here to Mansfield. It was so loud. And our lead guitar player had a Fender Twin, and he had a Les Paul, black face. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. It sounded so good. We had a great PA system, and our bass player had a bass master, I think it was. Is that right?
A bassman?
Bassman.
Yep.
Yep. So we had good quality stuff, and we played all the time. So, I know what the Beatles felt like, where they played every day the same songs over and over and over. So it was a fun time.
Did you guys write any songs or just
no?
covers?
We weren't that good. No, we were cover band. We would sit in the basement of our one of our guys and play an album, and we'd start mimicking the song and try to remember what the lead pattern was and the key and all that stuff, and then we'd try to remember the words. I was the singer, and I sang each song different every time. I mean, I could remember the lyrics very well.
You didn't have an iPhone there.
No, there was no help. There was no help.
That's right.
You can look up the lyrics to any song now and have printed out, and but back then it was all in your ear.
Yeah. What kind of money, just curious, what kind of money were you guys getting for a gig back then?
It was most of the time what we would tell these people that were doing fundraisers, we wanted $250 up front, $250, and they kept everything after that.
So they were charging for the door then.
And the door, and it was probably a couple of bucks, and we, it was a pretty good crowd most of the time, and we were very successful back then. It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
And what kind of music were you guys playing?
It was rock, Woodstock. It was Hendrix.
Well, it was classic rock.
Classic rock
when
now.
It was new.
Right.
Before they called it classic.
Yeah.
Before it was classic sounds a little dressed up for it, but it was hard rock. It was loud and proud, and the parents hated it. They thought it was satanic, and it was a fun time. But yeah, we were loud.
So I take myself back to I was born in 72, first of all. So
wow. You're just a pup.
I can't quite go, but Rob was born in 68, but I can't go back that far. But I in my mind, try to go back to 1970 in this little music store in Mount Vernon, Ohio. There really probably weren't any guitar repairmen back then, were there?
No, not that I know.
So as far as, did you just change strings when they broke, or if
Yeah.
you broke one string, did you replace one string, or how did you do it?
I started out, when I first started playing, I played until they broke.
Yeah.
And then I realized, they were getting gritty and they lost their tone and all that stuff. So I got back into changing them regularly because we played a lot. But I bought strings sometimes one at a time, and I remember I paid like $1.50 for a string. I'd get a B string or an E that I broke, and I'd always keep one or two with me, because if you bend it enough, you'll break it.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. Yeah.
Rob was asking earlier, what about pedals? Did you use any pedals?
Well, they had a wah-wah back then. I never
Okay.
used one.
Okay.
I never did, but they didn't have any of the stuff they have now.
Your lead
now they
guitar
have-
player didn't have anything.
No, it was all
Just plugged
pure.
straight
It
into
was
the
Guitar, chord.
and
into
you
the
mess with the tones and you're on your amp and on your guitar, but other
You
than
use
that,
the volume,
a little
and
bit,
the tone
not a
little bit.
lot, not a lot. No, yeah, it was fun.
Which, before multi-effects, I know we did
Yeah.
a little bit of that too. And even when I was
Well,
gigging
through
a
the
lot.
'80s, that was the cool
Yeah.
thing was racks and
Right. Multi-effects
Yeah.
processors. And
At the end of the day, I think if you can plug straight into a good amp, it's tough to beat. If you can control your volume and tone knob on your guitar,
absolutely.
I think a good comparison, if you've ever seen the movie Woodstock, that's exactly what we did. We were like a band that you would see on a stage playing to a big crowd, and you wanted to impress them with your tone and your sound, and
no master volume, so you turn it on 10 or 11.
no auto tunes,
Yeah.
no none of the new stuff that they use now to maybe hide a little bit of the imperfection, because believe me, we had imperfection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it was genuine. It was fun.
I did, I was born in 72, but I did 3 years in a row in a high school book report on Woodstock.
Yeah.
And not so that I could just give them what I did last year. I used to watch that movie every time, and I was really interested.
Yeah.
I always felt like I was born a little late, but that's
But that's when the good music was really,
Absolutely.
seriously, that was,
yeah.
and I'm sure everybody says that in their genre, but
Yeah.
boy, classic rock was big, it was huge,
Yeah.
nothing like it now.
Absolutely.
It was evolving so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've had some Strats go through my hands, and I have Tellys and a broadcaster or two, and I have some couple of things from the 60s, guitar and a bass. Rob's got some 60s Fender stuff. This is the cleanest one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So kudos to you. I mean, the fact that the back plate is still perfectly intact with no chips on the corners.
Well,
I mean, that was the first thing to go, the pick guard, no chips, and you got a little bit of
zero fret wear
the-
almost.
it's amazing. You must have been a pretty light player,
Yeah.
and you were using relatively light strings.
Light strings. I compared, I would say they were light. They weren't super light. I like super slinkies. I used Ernie Ball super
Yep.
slinkies all the time, and
Yep.
they were probably 10 gauge,
Yep.
something like that. The older I got, the lower the gauge got, because my fingers are sore and I don't play as
Yeah.
much, and I can't
I
hang
think
on
that
to it.
happens to everybody.
I used to be able to play a guitar 6-8 hours a day and not even think about it, but I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Gibson would have come stock with probably 11s, and at that period of time.
Yeah.
And,
At least in the earlier '60s, yeah.
yeah, and so I know Hendrix was using that odd set, that like 10 to 38s or whatever.
Well,
they were.
and we probably had maybe 2 or 3 manufacturers that made them then, and now you can go online and you can buy 15 to 20 different
Mhm.
companies and
Oh, yeah.
different theories about
Yep.
their strings and the sound, and we weren't that sophisticated back then. It was just hope you didn't break one in the middle of a song.
Flat wound,
Yeah,
round wound,
exactly.
pure nickel.
Nickel,
Yeah,
and,
Gibbs.
coated and uncoated, and
There weren't many. I know Gibson was early on, big developer in strings, and there weren't that many string manufacturing machines in existence, and there was a lot of private labeling going on. But yeah, certainly not the case now, and they've got Rob and I've used the Dario for years, and those are great strings and very consistent, and but there's all kinds of smaller companies now, and Gibson still makes a lot of strings, and
oh yeah, the
I don't
strings
know
are
who
so much better
makes
now.
for Fender. Yeah,
So much better.
Yeah.
Ours that would last, you'd be lucky if they'd last a month.
Yeah.
And we always kept a couple of spares, because you were going to break an E or a B at some time during a gig, and you had to have one ready to
at
go.
the worst possible time, right?
And they seem to go out of tune fast too.
Yeah.
Back then, they'd
Yeah.
stretch a little too much, but
Well, at least you had a second guitar player.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, cover up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob and I did the one guitar player band,
For a
and it's
while.
pretty rough
Yeah.
when a tube amp gives
Exactly.
away, or
Yeah.
something bad happens. It's pretty rough, but yeah, this is just an amazing clean 69 Strat, and sounds good. We're going to do some videos playing, you know, and kind of
Yeah, I can't wait to see him.
try to dial in the Hendrix sound a little bit and play through some of Rob's clean old Fender amps and have some fun with it. And I think we might even do like a shootout with a Mexican Strat.
Well, I think we should plug into the Plexi and try to get the Jimi Hendrix Woodstock sound out of it.
Absolutely. Maybe
Maybe
plug in a Univibe. And
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was real excited to bring it here and have you guys take a look at it, because I know your reputation, and you know, my concern was when I handed you the guitar, I thought the last thing in the world I want to hear is this thing's a piece of junk, you know, because I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know a lot of the things you told me. I had no idea, and I thought, you know, gosh, I don't want to be disappointed. I couldn't believe how good this thing really is in the shape it's in. And it really made my heart happy. I was really glad. And so I'm tickled to death you guys are taking your time to go through this.
Well, it's definitely not a piece of junk.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've you know, I can say great job on your investment of your $20, $8 a week.
Yeah,
$187.
$187.
It's certainly appreciated a lot in that time. But, you know, it's interesting to note that, you know, in the mid-'60s when CBS bought Fender, quality control did, you know, it's well documented, and a lot of people talk about it. And, you know, late 60s Fender stuff is, you know, not the same maybe as it was in 63, 64. And there are a few little things on this guitar, you know, like the neck pocket and the neck, you know, there's about a 40 thousandths gap on the treble side. There's a few little things that, you know, we could pick on, but this is an amazing guitar, you know, and that's just the difference of, you know, when you manufacture stuff and the pin router templates get worn out, and if they don't repair them in time, the gaps start to get, you know, a little bigger. But this is a fantastic guitar, and if it was good enough for Jimi Hendrix, it's, you know.
Well, Jimi Hendrix had a cool factor that no one else had, and I looked at his guitar and I thought, that's a cool guitar.
Absolutely.
So that's really why I love the color of it. And
he brought the cool factor back to the Strat.
Well, and it's interesting too that you know, of course it was before my time and all I could do is read or hear about it, but Strat sales weren't going really good in 67 and 68 and 69. And they, you know, I think at that point they were still trying to make the pickups clean or cleaner and not distort. You know, I think Leo Fender
jazz.
Yeah, more for the jazz, and Leo Fender came from a different, you know, mindset of what a great guitar sounded like. And I don't think, you know, certainly not speaking for him, but don't think that he thought that a distorting guitar was a good thing. And so we'll measure the pickups and give all those specs, you know, of what the resistance is on the pickups, but I think that they're a little, you know, less output than some of the earlier Strats. And Strat sales weren't going very well in the late 60s. And then Hendrix came along, and then everybody, you know, I mean, Rory Gallagher, you know, between him and Clapton and, you know, all the other people playing Strats, you know, after Hendrix. So.
Well, when I bought that and when it started playing, and we got in kind of a circuit and we'd see other bands, the guitar back then was the Les Paul. Everybody, the premium guitar was the Les Paul. The Strats weren't considered that and on that level. And I was a little disappointed, and I thought, gosh, did I buy the wrong guitar? Well, you get over it because that's your guitar. But I also remember when I was playing, and we were pretty loud, but if I turned the wrong way to the amp, you'd get feedback, and it would just, oh man, you talk about loud. It would really come
not
out.
the good kind.
Not the good kind. No, not the good
three
kind.
single coils.
It's because of the single coil, right? That's why? Is that why they did that?
Well, the squealing was probably microphonic, you know.
Probably.
But at that time, maybe not. But
well, no, there's 60 cycle hum. Like if you plug into the same circuit that the beer cooler is plugged into, you get that really annoying constant, you know, 60 cycle hum from the circuit. But
I thought the hum came from me just having it up too loud.
Well, that helps too. But you know, the good thing is that makes you really good at using your volume knob, right?
Yeah. I was telling these guys I have tinnitus. I get the ringing in the ear, and I remember every night we played, I'd go home and my ears would be ringing. I'm thinking that's probably why I still have that, you know, because
Sure.
back then it was really out there.
Trainers are definitely not known to be. And what was the other one? The Fender Super or
The Twin.
the Twin? Oh yeah.
It was a
And he
Twin.
used
Well,
Les Paul, your lead
Les
player.
Paul,
Yeah.
yeah, and he was amazing. He was an
He
amazing
said it was a
player.
68.
And it had a there's definitely a different sound between a Strat and a Les Paul.
Oh,
Yep.
And I can pick it up because I've been around it a lot, but a lot of like my kids and my grandkids, they don't see it. You know, I'll say, now that's a Strat, now that's a Les Paul.
Yep.
And they wonder how you can do that. But if you played enough, you'd know that.
You
know.
can hear it.
Yeah, you can tell.
And put together, they really sound
I think
amazing.
that's part of why our band did so well. Not, you know, it was lucky things came together the way it did. But we had, not even knowing, we had the right equipment, we had the right people, and we had the right sound, and we were just booked all the time.
who were the members of your band?
Mike Andorfer, he's still living. He's here in town, and
Yeah.
he's a great guy, great drummer. John Schott is a bass player. He's passed, and Jeff McMillan, he's passed, and he was our lead player. And they were all talented, and we could bang out a new song, and we practiced a lot, and we could bang out a song in about 2 hours, and then we put it in our playlist and drop one out, and then, you know, as the music changed, that was a 3-year period, so it changed a little bit, but
What was the name of your band?
we were called Tarot.
Tarot.
Tarot. Like tarot, the tarot cards.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was a little hard to pronounce, but that's what we were called.
And did you guys always do the same set, or when you went and played like a high school dance?
Same set. No,
So people weren't censoring
we
you and
played
telling
to,
you what
we
you were
played
allowed
to the
do.
crowd, not
Yeah.
to the people that hired us. You know, and we knew the age groups, and they were all high school kids, and they all wanted to be out at night and do stuff. And we'd play at the Y, and they would open the gym doors outside, and you know, let the air in and stuff, and then people would hear that, and then the crowd would come, and it just overwhelmed the whole area. It was crazy.
That
Played
sounds
at
like a
Riverside
good time.
Park in an outdoor concert, and about all the bands. We got thrown out from the police coming down, and we were too loud. They said, you know, turn it down or leave. So we started packing our stuff up, and we left.
There's at least 2 of those.
Yeah. And the prom one was the best one because it was like a riot. I'm telling you, the kids just went nuts when they found out we
You
were
better
leaving.
get that band back in here right now.
I'll bet we played for probably 50 proms or after proms.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, maybe
That's
more.
fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a great time of my life.
Well, Ed, we really appreciate you sharing the guitar, and hopefully some people, you know, get something from this, especially as we, you know, maybe not everybody's seen the backside of a 69 pickguard or
I can't wait.
what the neck looks
I
like.
can't wait to the next video to see what you guys have done. Yeah, I'm just real excited about it. And thank you so much for involving me.
Absolutely. Well,
This has been something I really look forward
Rob's been a longtime friend of your son,
Oh, yeah,
and your son's done does amazing
Yeah.
custom paint work.
He's an artist. He's a true artist.
He's a true artist.
Yeah.
to. My son's the one that told me about you, and the minute he said you guys, I said I'm in. I'm in. They said, well, they want to talk to you about your guitar. I said, who do I call?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we did it
Then we
quick.
started talking,
Yeah.
didn't we? Yeah, we set it up pretty quick. So yeah, thank you.
And your grandson plays guitar.
He's a shredder. He's good.
He's a shredder.
He's got a
He's
7
good.
string. He's playing now. 7 strings.
Yeah.
Six is enough.
6 is enough for me. I can.
But he's self-taught and he's really good. He's really good.
I gave him an amplifier.
Yeah.
I gave him a what did I give him?
You gave him a line 6, didn't
a
you?
line 6
With the
amp.
floorboard.
Yep.
Yeah, the,
And
Yep.
I hear that the neighbors get call the cops every once
you
in a
gave him the
while.
212, the original
The original.
line 6.
Yeah,
and,
the vintage looking.
and it's
But he's self-taught and it's YouTube. I mean, it's different today. It's completely different.
well, that's worth noting. Like, so when you learned a song back then,
Yeah.
how'd you do it?
Off an album. We played an album. We'd get a Rolling Stones album and we'd play the album and we'd say, okay, let's do that song. Let's do this song, you know, all that. And then we'd sit there and play it and over, and we'd tune our guitar and play, you know, pick up the key and then start playing the chords. And then we'd fill in all the bass and all that stuff. And then we'd bang that song out in about 2 hours. and we try to write down the lyrics. We weren't very good at doing that, and then we'd get, practice and practice and practice and practice. We practiced all the time. So
Now
we had 4 guys that were really into it. They
do it in YouTube and 15 minutes.
Well,
they
then
got
you
the
can
tablets
stop
or-
and replay, and you can get the lyrics online and all. It's different. It's completely.
I remember
we were doing rewind and fast forward.
dropping the needle. When Rob was early learning leads and
Right.
doing stuff.
That's exactly.
And
how
maybe
we
you
did
could slow it down on your record player where you could.
Yeah.
It would
Maybe
change
not
the
the
key,
tune,
but
yeah.
or you could tune.
Well, and then a lot of times we'd practice at night in the basement of one of Mike's house, and one of us, Jeff or I, would be at home, and we'd be working on a song, and we'd come and we'd go, "Hey guys, I think I got that chord pattern down."
Yeah.
And we'd put everybody together, and then the drummer would start playing, and all of a sudden we got it down, and we had so much fun doing it.
I remember Rob learning a Blue Oyster Cult lead, and I had a little Walkman, and he had the headphones on, and he had me like queued up at a certain point, and I just knew how I wanted to hold rewind down, and he'd give me a nod, and I'd rewind and hit play, and he'd give me a nod.
And then you
we'd just sit there, and like,
right.
Eventually that was in the, I think the early
Learn it
80s.
for you or something.
It was right when a Walkman, it was probably the first year that a Sony Walkman came out, whenever that was, and it's just so much more. Now we truly sound like the old guys that we are.
We are the old guys,
The dinosaurs that we are.
The younger generation, the Gen Xers and stuff, they don't play like we did. They don't have equipment like we had.
And that's part of what we want our channel to do is bring a little light to
you guys are doing a great job of making the awareness and maybe bring some of that back.
Well, there's a lot of people that are into old gear now, and there's other people doing similar things, but for us it's just about, we're brothers. This collecting thing, we've always played together, and the collecting has been a lot of fun for us. And as Rob said before, we were able to fill in the holes of the stuff that we never were able to have before, and now we're able to have it, and we're thankful for it. We certainly don't take it for granted, but our angle, if we have one, is we just want to share. This is what a 68 Les Paul or a 69 Strat sounds like into a Marshall Plexi, or what it sounds like into a clean, black-faced Fender Vibrolux. And then,
we're going to give you a full dose of it.
And then,
I can't wait.
Yeah, this isn't about great guitar playing. I played a lot, in my lifetime, but for the last 20 years, barely playing.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
It's not about how great of players we are, but we are fortunate enough to have some cool gear and want to share that and encourage, the youngsters that are coming along, and maybe show some people stuff that they haven't seen before. And we're just doing this with an iPhone. We're not sophisticated. We're not doing it through Pro Tools, but when we do a video, it's like, we're going to get you as close as we can to what it sounds like in the room, but we're just going to give you representation of it.
And it should be consistent.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it'll be consistent,
But
for
thank you both.
Absolutely.
Thank you both.
You're welcome.
This is a labor of love, and I can tell. You guys are really into this, and I'm just glad I'm part of it.
Absolutely.
I'm really proud to say that.
Well, thank you, and again, we appreciate you sharing your guitar and trusting us with your guitar.
Absolutely.
And you're the first. We want to do more of these where people bring us their guitar and say, "Hey, what do I have?"
Or amplifiers.
Amplifiers and guitars, and especially when it's a situation where it's a one owner. That's really noteworthy, we think, and
it gives it a story.
Yeah, and these guitars, this one's a great example. It's really clean. It sounds great. It plays great, but it's really the story about it that is, to me, so much better than
it's a big part of my life. It really is. It's that chunk of my life that I dream of doing, and I was so lucky to be able to do it in the way we did it. And to come down here with this gear and all, it's just, I'm so excited about everything you're doing. I'm just happy that I'm here.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah. All right. Well, Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
The 1st of January in 2026.
Yeah.
And we're thinking it's going to be a good year. We're pushing for positive things in 2026.
Minton Brothers Vintage will put some stuff out this year.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.